Have you ever wondered if a mortgage could actually make you rich? Most people see it as just a long, stressful debt, but what if I told you that it can be a powerful tool to build real wealth, even if you don't earn a high income? Is a mortgage a smart move, or a lifelong trap? What are the real benefits? The risks? What does a bank really need from you before saying yes? Do you need a high salary? A perfect credit score? What happens if you fail to pay? Could you lose everything? Take a deep breath. Because in this video, you'll understand everything about mortgages, how they work, why people use them, and how investors actually make money through them, step by step. Let's break it all down in plain English, with examples that make it crystal clear. A mortgage is simply a long-term loan from the bank, used to buy a property. You pay a small down payment, the bank funds the rest, and in return, you agree to pay monthly installments for 15, 20, or even 30 years. But here's the trick, you're buying an asset, and over time, that asset grows in value. So you're not just buying a home, you're leveraging other people's money to build your own wealth. Here's an example. You buy a property worth $200,000. You only put $20,000 down. 5 years later, the property is worth $250,000. That's a $50,000 increase, even though you only invested 20 grand of your own money. Better yet, if you rent it out, that rental income might cover your entire monthly payment, or even leave you a small profit. This is what we call leverage. You're using borrowed money to buy an asset that either increases in value or pays you every month. But let's be realistic, there are risks too. Mortgages come with responsibilities. Interest, the longer the loan term, the more you pay. Default, if you fail to pay, the bank can repossess the property. Hidden costs, taxes, maintenance, insurance, they add up. So how do you know if a mortgage is a smart move? Ask yourself. Will the property increase in value? Can rental income cover the mortgage and expenses? Do you have an emergency fund? Is your interest rate fixed or variable? Here's a real story. Someone buys a home for $150,000. Down payment, $15,000. Monthly rent, $1,300. Mortgage payment, $1,000. They're earning passive income, and 5 years later, the home is worth $190,000. They win on both ends, income and equity. Now here's the interesting part. Sometimes, you can use a mortgage again on the same house. How? If the property increases in value, you can refinance it, take a new loan and pull out some cash. Let's say your home is now worth $300,000, and you only owe $200,000. You can refinance, get a new mortgage for $250,000, and pull $50,000 out. That's money you can reinvest in other assets, maybe even another rental. So now, the same house works twice, it grows in value and gives you funds for more investments. But be cautious, this isn't free money. You need to do the math and plan carefully. So now, let's talk about how smart investors actually make money with mortgages, and not just once, but repeatedly. They use a method called BRRR. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Here's how it works. 1. Buy a property below market value, maybe it needs repairs. 2. Rehab it, fix it up to increase its value. 3. Rent it out, start generating monthly income. 4. Refinance, the property is now worth more, so pull out cash. 5. Repeat, use that cash to buy the next property. You started with one mortgage, but soon, you have multiple properties, all generating income and growing in value. Let's do the math. You buy a house for $120,000, spend $20,000 on renovations. It's now worth $180,000. You refinance at 75% of the new value, that's $135,000. You get back your initial investment, and keep the house. Plus, the rent covers the mortgage, or even generates profit. That's how real estate investors use mortgages as a tool, not a burden. But this only works if you manage your cash flow wisely, do your research, and avoid emotional decisions. Always treat it like a business. Now, you might ask, but what if I just want to buy one home to live in? Can I still benefit? Yes, even your primary home can be a smart financial move, if you think long-term. If you buy in the right area, over 10 or 20 years, the value may rise significantly. And with each monthly payment, you're building equity, which is like forced savings. Here's another example. You buy a house for $250,000 with a $25,000 down payment. Over the next 15 years, you pay off most of the loan, and the house is now worth $400,000. Even if you lived in it the whole time, you've gained $150,000 in value, and you now own a major asset. Plus, if you ever need money, you can refinance, sell, or take a home equity loan. And what about people who say, "I'm afraid of debt"? Understandable. But mortgage debt is different from credit card debt. It's backed by a tangible asset, your property, and if used wisely, it works in your favor. Smart debt helps you build wealth. Bad debt destroys it. The key is not how much you borrow, but what you borrow for. Would you rather spend $1,500 per month on rent that builds no equity, or on a mortgage that eventually gives you ownership? Many people are paying rent for years, and at the end, they own nothing. With a mortgage, you're at least moving toward ownership. Now, let's address something important. Bank conditions. What does a bank look for when approving a mortgage? Stable income. Good credit score, usually above 620. Low debt-to-income ratio. Down payment, 3% to 20%, depending on the loan. Proof of employment. Each country has its own rules, but these are the basics. Some banks also offer special programs for first-time buyers, like lower interest rates or smaller down payments, sometimes as low as 3%. But remember, the smaller your down payment, the larger your monthly payment and interest cost over time. Let's talk about interest rates. There are two main types. Fixed-rate mortgage, the rate stays the same for the entire loan. Adjustable-rate mortgage, ARM, the rate changes after a few years. Fixed rates offer stability. ARMs start lower but can rise, which means your monthly payment could increase later. If you like certainty, go fixed. So, should you always choose a mortgage over renting? Not necessarily. Ask yourself, how long will I stay in this location? Can I afford the monthly payment and other costs? Is the local market stable or growing? Buying a home is a commitment, but if you do it wisely, it becomes a financial tool, not a trap. Now let's talk about cash flow. If you rent out the property, and your rental income is higher than your expenses, you generate positive cash flow. This extra money can cover repairs, build your emergency fund, or be reinvested in another property. Many people dream of passive income. Well, this is how it starts, with one well-planned property and a smart mortgage. Speech balloon. If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who's thinking about buying a home. It might change their financial future. Now let's cover a few powerful strategies to make the most out of your mortgage. 1. Bi-weekly payments. Instead of paying monthly, you split your payment in half and pay every 2 weeks. This results in one extra payment per year, which can shave years off your loan and save thousands in interest. 2. Extra principal payments. Even small extra payments each month, $50 or $100, can reduce your loan term dramatically. 3. Live in, then rent out. Buy a small property, live in it for a year or two, then rent it out. This way, you qualify for better loan terms as an owner-occupier, but later turn it into an income-producing asset. 4. House hacking. Buy a duplex or triplex, live in one unit, and rent the others. Your tenants help pay your mortgage, maybe even all of it. These strategies allow beginners to start small and scale over time. Another tip: don't rush. The best deals aren't always quick. Do your research, understand the area, talk to real estate agents, and always run the numbers. Let's not forget: emergencies happen. That's why it's smart to keep a cash buffer, 3 to 6 months of expenses, in case you lose your job or face unexpected repairs. Being prepared gives you power. It turns fear into confidence. Let's summarize the mindset shift. Most people see a mortgage as a debt. Smart people see it as a financial tool. You're not just borrowing money, you're buying control over a valuable asset. You're turning rent payments into ownership. You're converting time into equity. And equity can be leveraged to create more wealth. Remember the concept of good debt? That's exactly what a mortgage can be, if used wisely. So whether you're a first-time homebuyer, a future investor, or just someone tired of renting, understanding mortgages is a huge step toward financial freedom. Now, before we wrap up, here's one last thought. Many wealthy people didn't start rich. They started with one property, one mortgage, and built slowly. Real estate rewards patience, planning, and persistence. You don't need to be a millionaire. You need the right mindset and information. And now you have it. You understand how mortgages work, how to make money through real estate, and how to avoid common mistakes. You've learned the basics of mortgages, how to build equity, how to generate passive income, real examples and strategies, how to protect yourself from risks. No more confusion. No more fear. This isn't just about buying a home. It's about using one of the most powerful financial tools available to build long-term wealth. So the next time someone says, a mortgage is just debt, you'll know better. Because now, you see the full picture. Checkered flag if you found this helpful, share it with someone who needs clarity. And if you're ready to take the next step, stay tuned, we've got more guides coming your way. Until then, invest smart, think long-term, and build your future, one step at a time.